first graders, remember we've been reading stories this week about living in the city and living in the country. So far, we've read one about the city and one about the country. And this one will be a story that talks about both. So as we are reading this, I want you to make connections to your own living. Which one is more like you? Okay, so think about that as we are reading the story. And remember to listen for the vocabulary words. So I'm going to remind you what those vocabulary words are that we just learned. Okay, the first word was city. And remember, city, we showed the different buildings. Then we have country, where we're pushing the grass aside so we can get through. Bored, a way we may feel when we're not particularly having fun. Feast, when we have so much food able to fill us up. And scurry, there we go. I forgot for a minute. Scurry is our last one, which is a quick movement on the ground that we might see from some small animals. Okay, so here is our story today. It's called The City Mouse and Country Mouse. And we can start here. Looking right at this picture, where do you think they are starting? Okay, what clues are there? What is familiar to you and what looks like something a bit different from where you live? Once upon a time, there was a happy little mouse that lived in the country. One summer, she invited her cousin from the city to come and visit her. When the city cousin arrived, she tried to show him how pleasant and relaxing life in the country could be. They sat on the porch and looked at the stars as they listened to crickets chirping. They nibbled on delicious country food, such as breadcrumbs, cheese, bits, nuts, and berries. Are you enjoying country life, dear cousin? The country mouse asked. But the city mouse was not impressed at all with country life. He missed the sounds of taxis and buses. He missed the shops and people walking in the busy streets. In fact, he was quite bored. He replied to his cousin, "Oh, you poor thing! Life in the country is much too quiet, and the food is so plain. Dear cousin, come back to the city with me, and I will show you how wonderful life can be. The food in the city is fancy and delicious, unlike any you have ever tasted." The country mouse wanted to see whether her cousin's life in the city was as grand as he described, so she went back to the city with him. When they arrived, the country mouse was surprised at how noisy the city was. Oh, I forgot to show you the next picture. Let's see. So there he is describing his city life and all the wonderful food. Okay, so here they are. So the country mouse was surprised at how noisy the city was. Cars were honking their horns, and there were so many people. She was happy when they went inside a large brick house. The city mouse led the way to the dining room, where the people of the house had already finished eating dinner. There were many wonderful things to eat, still sitting on the table. "What a feast!" exclaimed the country mouse. Her eyes grew big and round as she gazed at the chicken, potato salad, rich cheeses, strawberries, jellies, and chocolate cake. The country mouse began to think her cousin was right, and perhaps she should move to the city. But just as the two were about to eat, a huge cat pounced on the table. "Let's go!" cried the city mouse as the two mice scurried into a mouse hole. That big cat lives here, explained the city mouse to the trembling country mouse. We will have to hide for a while, but we can go back and eat later, after he is gone. But the country mouse shook her head. She said, as soon as the cat is gone, I'm going home just as fast as I can. You are welcome to all the fancy food you can eat. As for me, I think it's better to eat simple food in peace and safety. And the country mouse went back to her simple life there in the country and lived happily and peacefully ever after. There we go. What did you think of the city and the country? Based on that story, which one would you rather live in? Based on that story, what connections did you see to your own life? Talk about it with your family. And we're going to be using our vocabulary as we move forward as well.